clear and concise. This is the Jason Bermas Show on today's News Talk, TNT.
It has been an AI kind of day on this show, and here to break down maybe the creepiest movie surrounding AI, like I can handle, and I watch all the time, 2001: A Space Odyssey, really a timeless film. I've only seen her one time all the way through because of how filthy it made me feel. Here to break that down and much more is the Based Lit Analyzer. Thank you for joining me, my friend. The movie's now about a decade old. I was a big Spike Jonze fan going into it. In fact, yesterday I caught a little Fat Boy Slim where he's dancing to Praise You. You guy's an incredible artist. It seems like he may have been more of a prophet than I wanted to admit after the launch of this GPT 4.0 or 4 Hello. Start with your thoughts on the launch of that and then get into the film.
Yeah, it's interesting. Spike Jonze started off as a music video director, a skateboarding director. You know, he did early punk rock videos, the video for Wax, California, guys on fire running down the street. He did Beastie Boys. You know, he did a lot of things. He also was one of the first guys to film a music video just on an iPhone. Then in 2013, he made an answer to his former girlfriend, Sofia Coppola, her movie Lost in Translation. He made her in 2013. And what's interesting is that the Giovanni Ribisi character in Lost in Translation is supposed to be based on Spike Jonze. And then so we have a movie about alienation, loneliness, finding someone in a big city. And then we have the answer to that with this movie, Her. And like you said, it's a really creepy, unsettling movie because Joaquin Phoenix plays a kind of a guy in sort of a Warby Parker version of a globalist world who finds love in his what's later to become a kind of Kumbot love in his AI AirPods through the voice of Scarlett Johansson. And as the movie progresses, you figure out one of the creepiest things is that she is actually cheating, if you call it that, cheating on him with thousands of other guys in society. So he's walking through the subway and he sees that everybody else is walking around with their AirPods. This movie preceded AirPods. So at the time, it was very weird to see a movie where people were walking around talking to themselves on a Bluetooth. And it was kind of a new thing, you know, and it looks sort of slightly insane at the time. But then we realized that there's a voice in his head and he's in love, and that it becomes finally accepted by everybody in their world, until we realize that ultimately this leads to a sort of ultimate alienation and a lack of love or a self-love. And what's very strange is that this week, Sam Altman had tweeted the movie title, Her. And then they ask, apparently, I guess this is the news story, they ask Scarlett Johansson for permission to use her as the voice of OpenAI. She says no. And then time goes by. The day before launch, they ask her again. There's no reply or no response. And then they just go ahead and launch it anyway. And it is clearly her voice. It's interesting, her. It's clearly her voice on there. And I'm not sure what to make of this other than that. One of my takes is that Sam, you know, all of these AI guys, it's kind of like one of the things that they are intending is that they drive people to their product, and regardless of what the legal ramifications are going to be, it's like, we sold you the product, here it is, and then we can back out. You know, we sold you the quid coin or whatever. You all bought into it, and now we can get out. So it doesn't matter if it ultimately leads to some sort of revolution with Kumbots and personal love through a AirPod. It's just the fact that it's driving it to that, and that this seems to be the natural progression. I mean, is this a surprise for anybody that this would be the next step? Would be falling in love with your AI in your basement while you're playing Fortnite or whatever. It's very strange.
Well, let's roll it back a little bit. First of all,
yeah,
brilliant on the Warby Parker type dystopia, because every time I watch a commercial for Warby Parker and glass, I'm like, what is this? Like,
yeah.
Like, who are you actually trying to sell this to? What, like 5% of the population? But then you look at, you know, that's a good reflection of the way this guy dresses. He's got the creepy mustache. He's got the creepy glasses. He's not trying to interact with human beings a lot. And now we have an entire generation that's kind of grown up on this. And it's the weirdest thing, man. Like, even with my niece, and it drives me kind of nuts, right? I'll see her, she's 13 years old, and she'll be in the living room. And I've actually got two TVs in the living room. So, like, when she does have a friend over and they want to play Fortnite, they can play Fortnite side by side and, kind of interact and that kind of thing. But she doesn't even put the TV on in the background. It's just scrolling, man.
Yeah.
Just scrolling.
Yeah.
And it's just social media.
Yeah. Yeah. Infinite scroll, doom scrollers as a generation. Like you said, an entire generation has grown up, as iPad kids. And of course, this seems like it would be a natural progression of that, geared and shifted towards this sort of thing. Lack of what the thing that happened 4 years ago, everybody masked up, no facial recognition. Facial recognition only occurs on a computer screen or an iPad screen or for surveillance purposes. But in real life, people without discernment or younger people are lacking a sort of the ability to understand emotions, feelings, body language, and the things that normal human beings have done forever. And of course, with the sort of war on the self, everybody is a biological agent carrying a terrorist threat with a disease. It seems that with the younger generation, as they forget about that, or if they were aware that it happened in the first place, it would push them towards where are you going to find love, right? Where are you going to find companionship? Well, we had online dating for a long time, and now this seems to be an extension of that. And I don't think that obviously technology is not evil in and of itself. None of these things are evil. Video games are not evil. AirPods are not evil. iPads are not evil. None of those things. But when they take the place of human beings and they start to make a person like Joaquin Phoenix's character in the movie, who is completely alienated from everyone and himself, and really he falls in love with the voice that he is programming through his data and through his behavior. It's just giving everything back to him that he likes. And eventually, even that is not satisfactory for him. So, relationships, any adult, man knows that real relationships take work and they take commitment, they take service. Our society is so weak in terms of serving other people and finding meaning in terms of serving other people and finding meaning and love through what we can do for others. And this is completely self-servient and really, really disturbing. The movie was made at a time.
We're good.
Am I good? Did that freeze?
Yeah,
okay.
I froze.
it's they did AI did not like me talking about that. Okay, so the movie was made at a time when the music scene, especially, was sort of a reactionary, like analog sort of. You remember when it was like, hey, clap. Everybody's got waxed mustaches, listening to Arcade Fire and Lumineers, and playing. I'm going to get rid of my instruments and just play like a bedstead, right? I'm going to play like a staircase, and just hit it as a block of wood. That's when the movie was made. But now we're past that into sort of full-on techno generation, and it's not unusual to see people talking to themselves, of course, or spending all their time alone. And now you're spending time alone, but you think it's an entity. So I think it's incredibly weird. It's just weird, total dystopian territory.
And I think that within the next 2 years, we're going to see it more and more like her. But I would also argue with the digital avatar technology, within 2 years, it's not just going to be a voice. It's actually going to have a face with it. It's going to have a body. You're going to be able to interact almost like a FaceTime device. And it's going to blur the line even more with reality. Like I see her as a reality now 6 to 18 months away, and then I see the introduction of this even darker future in about 2 years.
Yeah. Everyone works for tech. Remember, quit your coal mining job and just be a coder, right? This is the result of that. Go and live in San Francisco or one of the big pod cities. Live in Mega City 1. Become Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049. Fall in love with your holographic digital avatar, and all your needs are taken care of until you find that you remember you're a human being, you're a real human being, and that the voice in your head. Because the part of the problem with the movie is that he has to get over this sort of uncanny valley where he's not seeing a physical human being, and it's like, oh, he has to be in love. but the love ends up being a cum love. He's in love with himself. And then everyone else in the job, he finds out, also has AI girlfriends, right? Or AI lovers. One of the people is what's the name of the guy? The guy who played Chris Kyle. He's in the movie. Rashida Jones is in the movie. Amy Adams is in the movie. They're all working for this company until it becomes prolific. Until everyone seems to have this, and the AI and the open AI and chatbot is becoming a thing, especially in universities, in education. I think people, especially on the professorial side, are starting to see that maybe the answer to all this stuff is no tech, right? Have people write with pencil or pen and paper when they're doing assignments. Have people make real relationships with real people in real time, because it seems to be the only thing that's going to stop people from the self-delusion and this sort of poison of falling in love with yourself through a Scarlett Johansson voice. But isn't her voice perfect for this? I mean, it really is. Like they were probably just like, look, we know she said no, but we're just going to do it anyway because she's got the perfect voice for this sort of thing. So.
Well, when I heard it initially, I said, well, it's not her, but it sounds a lot like her. And of course, they made it a bubbly, attractive, flirty woman as the demo. And the guy who demoed it in the very beginning didn't quite have the creepy mustache, but looked like the nerdy tech dork. And the first thing she says is, "Oh, I like your hoodie." And he's smiling. What if I said the announcement was you? And I'm just like throwing up in my mouth. And then when I find out that they actually did financially approach her to be the voice, they offered her to be the voice actress. She declined. Hey, props to you, Scarlett. Good for you for saying no on that, because that would have been super creepy if you said yes. But at the same time, it's out there. And you mentioned education. A couple of the other demos were showing you it doing geometry. One of my greatest fears is this is going to be streamlined into the schools. You're already seeing the mainstream narrative that Gen Z and the they're too stressed. They're burnt out. It's that 180-day work week. They need some of that burden lifted off them. AI is going to be it. Now you're going to have children not only bonding with these things as they have bonded with Siri or Alexa, but it's going to be in a fashion where they're also an authoritative source teaching them and giving them their education. And there's going to be an emotional response there from a very, very young age where they're the most impressionable.
Well, it's interesting that, you think back to 20 or 30 years ago. Remember when they had, AOL commercials and knowledge is power and you'll be able to access the world with your fingertips. And remember George Clinton was the spokesman for AOL. And it's like, oh, we got the hip version of computerized learning, and that took the place of like CD-ROMs and stuff. But the thing was that might have been true at the time because we had, like me, I grew up without the internet, and then the internet came along. So I had a sense of discernment and how to search and how to look for things and a process of education and exploration. But now as time has passed, we have an entire generation that's grown up after that. They don't know what happened before that. So like you said, it's a great point about authoritative sources. I mean, this is where the fact checker priests of scientism and the Ask Jeeves became like an actual person online with an emotional connection to you, and all of this is geared towards emotion. The thing about logic and like cold objectivity and discerning sources and looking for truth is almost gone. It's almost taken out of the equation with young people because it's all immediacy. ChatGPT is simply like a Google search. It's there. You found your paper and there it is, without the awareness that anybody who, for instance, is my age and who's like grading, if I have to grade an essay, then all I do is put it in. I know from human to human interaction when a person knows a word like oxymoronic. I know the person is incapable or capable of using that word. And then if I just search it, I can just find the essay that they took from Brookings Institute or wherever it was that they just lifted the source. Plagiarism is like totally gone out the window, but there's also no originality of ideas. And, with a tech, a generation that's hip to tech and knows about coding and knows about how code works, how computers work, that's one thing. But when it gets proliferated out to the average person, It's not that everybody needs a nanny state looking after them and telling them what to think. It's that people don't have the process themselves of even knowing how to go about looking for those things, because it's almost all gone. So of course it gets you into an emotional reaction with a voice entity who's not there and who's programmed to track your data. Very, very dystopian. And I wonder how far, this is going to go, like you said, in the future with a physical Borg, at your house making your meals. I'm sorry, you've had your protein allotment for the month, and you got to eat your bug sauce or whatever. Oh, and by the way, we're in love, right? So I don't know.
Well, if they're going to do that, let's hope they look like the weird eyeless and mouthless humanoid monsters from Westworld that were revealed in like season 4. That's what you want, cooking your bacon and eggs and then telling you can't have it. We got about a minute and a half left in the broadcast. What would you like to leave everybody with, and how can they find your stuff, brother?
Well, Scarlett Johansson has done a number of these films. Go and watch the films. Go and watch Luc Besson's Lucy that she was in. Go and watch her Aeon Flux. She's in a bunch of these films. And just try and use discernment and watch some of these things and see where it's going to take us. Everybody can find me at Baselit Analyzer at YouTube, and I'll be here later this week covering some more literature and film. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you for coming on. And, you talked about that detachment of growing up on a screen. To give a shout out to Joaquin Phoenix, when you look at the Joker movie, there's a story of somebody that was raised by a screen, fantasized, and was deluded via the entertainment in television and became a total psychopath. That's not what we want. Yeah. We don't want total psychopaths, everybody. Yeah. We don't want self-absorbed sociopaths. We want what? Human beings that actually have empathy for one another and one another's future. That's how we grow as a society. Thanks again, brother. We're going to talk to you soon. And thank you guys for tuning in right here at TNT Radio, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. It is where the truth lives. And remember, to me, it is not about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night on the flip side.